Okay, so the primary hull is all set, and we're ready to move on now. I think what we're going to do is we're going to do the nacelles. You can see how small they are. I mean, look at my hand compared to the nacelles. And the way they look on screen, of course, the Bussard Collectors are going to be red. The chiller grills are going to be blue. Also, at the end caps of the chiller grills, they're also blue. But because it's so small, I'm not going to be able to get the pattern. So what I'm going to do is we're going to spray them blue on the inside, and then when we put them on, we're going to paint them to silver. So that's going to be blue. The chiller grill inserts are going to be blue, and the Bussard Collectors are going to be red. So you know what? Why don't we do that right now? That way there we'll have everything all set. While that's drying, we can do the wiring. These are going to be red. And I'm going to use the testers, red, and this is number 1605. This is the clear red. And when it comes to the blue, again, I like the testers, and this is the clear blue, and I don't see a number on here. This is just a transparent blue. This is what I like to use, the 1257T. I want to get on the inside of the end caps. Just like that. Let's take the nacelles off. So you can see the pieces that we got to do. We got the inserts that are going to go in. Those are drying right now. We got the Bussard Collectors. Squeeze nacelle sides while pressing the Bussard Collector in place. And remember, this is a snap kit, so we're going to glue it. And we got to wait for that to dry. When we put it on the end, we're going to paint that silver so the end caps appear blue. And we're going to do the same thing for the other side. And eventually we're going to put on the fins, the coolers, and then onto the pylons. And you see how they line up into the little pegs. Alright, so that's going to go with this one. So there's this little bit better. So that's going to line up. And again with this one, we're going to put them into the little cups, and they're going to line up pretty well. Okay, but we're not going to close them up just yet because we have to wire them. So we're going to have a light going through for the Bussard Collector. And we're going to be having a light going to the back. Okay, so this had some time to dry. Gave it overnight, and you see how I love the job that the testers does. You see the Bussard Collectors, it's nice and even. And when it comes to the ends of the nacelle caps, they have little designs on the inside, like the little circles. Because it's so tiny, I'm not going to be able to do that. We're just going to paint it silver, and we're going to have the blue coming out the back. And of course, the chiller grills that are going to go on the insides of the nacelles. So I think what we can do now is we'll go ahead and we'll put them in. See how good the paint does, the testers. Alright, so this is going to go. This is a snap kit. I don't necessarily know if we're going to need to put glue, but what I'm going to do is we're going to put it in, and I don't know if you guys can see, there's a tiny little opening at the end. And what that opening is going to do, it's going to go right on that little pin. So, man, I hope you can see that. At the very end over here, there's a little pin, and that goes through the opening of the chiller grills. You can see it looks really nice, but I'm still going to put some glue. Just a drop. All right. I think what we can think about doing now is we'll put this aside and we're going to do the other one. And again, I hope you can see, but they're actually larger in the front, and as it goes towards the back, they get smaller or more narrow. And again, hopefully you can see the little pins on the inside. That looks pretty good. Something so tiny. And we'll put another drop. All right. Okay, so we got the chiller grills in. Now I think what we can start to think about doing is how we're going to run the lights. I think I'm going to drill into the center of this, and we're going to run the lights down into the center and throughout the bottom. And when it comes to the lights, we're going to need 2 of them. How many do I have here? I got 2. Okay, so let's get the power supply. All right, that one works. And these are so small. And the other one works. Okay, so we're going to need 2 for each nacelle. All right, so let's think about wiring them together. And again, guys, I can't stress it enough. You have to put resistors on these, but the fact that this is going to be, this is running off 2 1.5 volt batteries, so that's why I'm not having to put a resistor on. But anything over that, you have to put a resistor on, or you're going to blow out your lights. So let's splice them together. All right, so now what I want to do is we're going to run some wire. And let's see, I think we're using blue for positive and brown for negative. So let's see, well, that's warming up. We'll get the negative, and that's the brown. And again, we're not going to use a lot. We're just going to use enough just for it to coat and to keep it in place. Just like that. I'm going to hold it in front of the fan, because remember, there's not a lot of room in these things. And if there's too much glue gumming it up, it's going to block the light for the chiller grills. So again, this makes it nice, no soldering. And I think what I want to do is we're going to have one facing forward by the Bussard collector, and that's going to go right in front of this channel right here. So we're going to separate it just a bit, and we're going to make it so hopefully you guys will be able to see the wire. It's going to be held in place by that little channel. So that's going to be for the Bussard collector. And what we're going to do is I want to bring one and I want to use it to light the chiller grill. So we're going to have one at the front, and this one is going to be kind of in the middle. There. And it's going to be perfectly positioned because of the Bussard, see that right there? Hopefully you can see it. But we have the light perfectly positioned for the Bussard collector. Okay, so that's on this side. And what I want to do is I'm going to put a drop of the glue there. See how it's like perfectly centered, so that's in a good position. Okay, so now I want to take the other side see how that's going to be in position. We're going to have the wires that are going to come out right in the middle of where the struts are going to go for the nacelle pylons. Alright, now let's put the halves together and we'll just try it out. So we're going to do a little test now. So these are going to go together like this. The little pins go into the channel. I don't want to push it in to the point where it's going to lock in place yet, because we're still working this out. And you can see where we're going to have a little hole that's going to be right there where the wires are going to come out. So for now, what I want to do is we're going to test it out. Now, if we did it right, it should light up. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to angle the light, the bulb, so it's facing down. So we'll get the inside lit up. But see how everything will line up just about perfectly. And we want the light facing backwards because we got to light up the end of the nacelle cap. So that looks good. I think we can think about going ahead now and actually passing the wires through. So right through the center over here, I want to drill that section, and we need to pass the wires through. Nice. It actually fit. Okay, so we're going to bring the halves together now, and I think we can think about gluing them. All right. Hopefully you guys can hear the snap, but see the Bussard Collectors lined up, and we got everything set up. Hopefully you guys can see. And we got the Bussard Collector in the front, and we've got the light in the back. Okay, that's good. So what we can think of doing now is I want to run. See, like what I was telling you guys, we're going to have to drill into the nacelle pylon, and I think for this one, see how we're going to go through the center, and we're going to bring it out here, and we got to run the lines through there. See how it's going to have to line up perfectly. So it's tough. It's not going to be easy, but in order to light up the nacelles, this is kind of like what we have to do. Alright, see how the wires are going through? And now we need to pass it through the bottom. Alright, see what we did? And this is going to go up against to get into position, and we're going to put them in like that. And yes, this is a pain, but when all is said and done, let me show you guys. Okay, so again guys, I know it's not the easiest thing to do, but we run the 30 gauge wires through the nacelle pylons, and you can see how it looks pretty good. So what we can do now is we can actually put the Bussard collector on and the end cap. Let's see, 103 is this one. See how it's got the little ridge, and it's going to go right into place like that. So it can be like that. What I want to do is we're going to put some super glue on the edge. Like that. And let's see, with that, let's see, I'm going to hold it like that. Okay, we need to think about, while that's drying, I think we can think about wiring the other side. So we need to get a couple of lights and test them. All right. So this one works. And we got to make sure this one works. There we are. So we know that these work, so we can go ahead and we're going to do the same thing for this side. And this would be the port, I believe. So let's splice them together. You can see both of these lights are on. Let me get a better connection. And they are both on, you just can't see because they're grouped together. Okay. We're going to do the same thing like we did in the other one. We're going to start with, let's see, we're going to use the blue for the positive. And again, we're not looking to gob the heck out of it. We're just looking to put it just enough where it keeps it together. It'll hold the connection and it'll keep the wires from touching. And one of the reasons that I wanted to do this one is because it's so tiny, a lot of people don't light them. I just want to show you guys that you can light them. It is possible. And look at that. Perfect. All right, now we can put them into the nacelle. And in this instance, we're going to be doing the port side nacelle. And what I want to do is I want to put the light right into the Bussard collector like we did the other side. So let's go ahead and start to manipulate these and get them into position. Pretty good. And just put a bit to tack that into place. There. That's in position, and we're going to do the same thing. What I want to do is we need to drill a hole right in the center. And this is easy now that we know that it fits. Now before we close it, we gotta sort of position everything like we did with the other side. All right, so that's working. So now we can go ahead and we can close the halves together. I'm gonna make sure, see how the wire is sticking out? I'm gonna make sure that that's not an issue. There, okay. That looks good. And let me just kind of position there. We center the Bussard collector, and nice. So now we got to do the same thing. We have to drill the nacelle pylon so where we can run the wire through. And we need to do it right about there. So we're going to have the wires going through, coming out the middle, just like we did last time. And now we have to get it so that they're going to come out right about there. And it's going to come out the bottom. Okay, so now let's run. We'll start with the blue. Okay. And it's going to go this way. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do is, again, we got to make sure that this works. Oh man, was I nervous there. All right. Okay. Looking pretty good. Okay, so now I think we're going to do the same thing. Make sure it's flush. And we're going to do the same thing with this one that we did to this one. It's been a little while, so this one should be okay to handle. So we're going to take this one and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to take the end cap and we're going to put this over here to dry like we did with the last one. Okay, what we need to do now is we're going to do the Bussard collectors. And let's see, this one is going to be the starboard side. And what part is that going to be? That's going to be part 105. So that would be this one. Alright, so hopefully you guys can see that. So what I need to do I need to put some super glue on it. And what I'm going to do is I want the super glue to kind of coat it. Because the super glue is going to make almost like a glass-like finish that's going to be on it. All right, so and we got to let that dry. So now let's get the other Bussard collector. And that looks good. Like I said, we're gonna super glue everything when we close everything up permanently, but you can see, hopefully you can see, there are two areas around the Bussard Collectors where they come out, and I think I want to do the same thing. I want to coat the Bussard Collector. The super glue will put kind of like a gloss coat on it. There. So it kind of looks like a jewel. Okay. Okay, so what we did was we did the halves of the nacelles. We ran the chiller grills in. We put them into position. We closed them up. We put the end cap on, and we put the Bussard collector on. Squeeze the nacelle sides while pressing in the Bussard collector on. I did it the opposite way. We had to do it. And we brought the halves together on the starboard and port nacelle. When we continue the next video, see what I wanted to do in this video, I really wanted to light the nacelles and get that all set, because we had a lot of drilling, we had to prep, we had to pass the wires through, and we had to position the bulbs and get everything into position. So when everything is dry, we'll be ready to move on. What we're going to do is we're going to put the coolers on, the cooling fins. We're going to paint the ends, the end caps, so that we can see the blue coming out the back. And we're going to have to put the decals on. So let me take one of them and we're going to light it up. All right. So hopefully you guys can see we got the Bussard collector on. Everything works. We have the chiller grills lit up on the inside. We're going to be able to have the wires pass. Hopefully you can see the back. The back of the end caps, where you're going to be able to see the blue. There is a pattern back there, but we're going to have to paint it, so we'll just leave the area. That's all we really can do, because it's just too small. But I know the Bussard collector is really bright because it's got the bulb there, but it's in perfect position. And I want to thank you guys for watching this video. I wanted to light the Bussard collectors, the chiller grills, and the nacelles. And when everything is dry, we're going to be ready to move on, and we'll be able to finish off the nacelles. So my friends, I thank you so much for watching. And until my next video, I'll talk to you soon.